Have any reason to go into executive
We have
session?
two matters, one personnel matter, just a general discussion of the Lister's office, and under contracts, there's an update from the committee on our most recent visit with folks from Proctor about possible policing.
Okay. Anybody else have anything else? If not, we need a motion.
So moved.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Do we have any need to amend the agenda this evening? I have none. Hearing none, we need a motion to accept the agenda as proposed.
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We need to sign the select board minutes of January 15th and the 22nd. Everybody get a chance to go over those? Get any omissions, corrections?
Fine.
Any questions on the orders tonight? We've got several.
I see there's backhoe fuel oil filters for $64 and change, and then backhoe fuel filter for $174 and change. Just question come to my mind.
We've got the highway foreman here.
You probably
give you
can
the
answer
answer.
Two separately different
Yeah, there's,
deals probably.
yeah, it's two
Yeah.
fuel filters, one we're able to get Napa, the other ordered through
Yeah,
PCB, and
yeah.
two at the same
Yeah.
time. So we're shipping
It
them
just
down.
kind of caught my eye, you know.
Yeah,
And,
cheap.
but, And there's Otter Creek Engineering for $4,700 now, and it's related, I believe, to the Depot Hill project. Now, my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that we went through a whole engineering thing and put together a plan, and I guess the proposal was sort of scrapped, maybe.
Yeah,
So now
back
we're
to the drawing board. No
now we're
question.
going back through another whole engineering and starting all over again.
It turned out basically that in order to combine the two pump stations into the lower pump station location, it required much bigger pump and motor to
Right.
push it all the way up the hill at the
Yeah,
steeper grades.
right.
And that became clear only when we got the bids in and the bidders cited the big cost of those
Yeah.
pumps. As a response, we have interacted with the low bidder. He was not able to get to a pricing within our bond vote authorization for us. And so the decision has been made with the Water and Sewer Commission's involvement to simply replace the two pump stations where they lie, as opposed to consolidating them with a new pump station at the bottom of the hill. So yes, there's some additional engineering that we're looking at. The total additional engineering cost is gonna be in the neighborhood of $15,000. Otter Creek came to the Water and Sewer Commission several weeks ago, told us about that, and the Water and Sewer Commission took a decision that we should ask for at least the 50% of that extra cost back, on the theory that maybe they could have identified this problem earlier in their design process. And they've agreed to do that. So we are gonna get some savings off of that additional engineering that's needed.
So
That's my
what,
best summary, I guess.
so then I should figure that part of the money we paid for the first complete set of plans will be credited towards the second set of
Yeah,
plans for the second
most of that is
project.
usable still. We've just kind of reconfigured the project, and the only extra, I shouldn't say only, but the extra engineering cost associated with rebidding it is totaling around $15,000, half of which Otter Creek will be eating.
And it kind of puts a bad taste in my mouth if I think we're paying for two sets of engineering and one of them never amounted to a hill of beans.
Well, I won't take your language about the hill of beans, but I will accept that it's unfortunate that we have
It
to
is.
have more engineering costs. But the good news is, we got Otter Creek to cut those in half.
Well, that does help.
It does.
Thanks.
Any other questions on the orders? Lisa? No. All set?
Almost time for a Clarence Burrito joke there.
Oh, wait, yeah, it's a clean one though.
Not today.
Town managers report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The final delinquent taxpayers' taxes were paid off the morning of the tax sale, so we didn't have to proceed with the tax sale, so that's a good piece of news. The Lister's office has had a little bit more turnover, I'm afraid. The only remaining Lister, Nicholas Michael, resigned his office Tuesday, January 28th. This leaves the town Lister's office with only our assessor consultant, Lisa Wright, and of course Lister's secretary, Linda Trask, until town meeting day. The good news is town meeting day is only about a month away, and that will come before the voters as to what they want the future of the Lister's office to be. As I've mentioned before, there is a vacancy on the town's planning commission, and the 7-member commission would appreciate having a new colleague to join them. Ted Gillen had resigned a few weeks ago, and we have put notices out in the newspapers and around town. There is a modest stipend if anyone's interested in thinking about joining. Let me know. Thanks. We're also looking for a health officer to replace Bruce Babcock starting in May or June of this year when Bruce retires. Notices seeking applications have been posted around town, and if you have any interest at all, please approach me and we can present that to the select board for determination. We will discuss it in executive session, but I can mention here in public that we did have a meeting of the subcommittee assigned to discuss possible policing duties in Proctor with a Proctor selectman last Thursday, January 30th. We're now crunching numbers to assess the viability of such a relationship to see whether it makes any financial sense for the town to go forward with those discussions. In terms of the rec area, I can report that the rec committee is looking to hire a day camp director for the 6-week period running from June 22nd to July 31st. So if you know anybody who has some time this summer and likes working with kids, please have them be in touch with Randy Adams, as he's the one conducting the search now. The town will have a town report dedication, basically congratulating this year's honorees on Wednesday, February 19th at 9 o'clock here in the conference room. That's always a good event to say thank you to the people who helped make Pittsford the wonderful place that it is. There is another edition of the Select Board Institute available. They do this every year. Alicia and Dave went to that with me last year. But any selectman interested in attending that can do so at Montpelier, Saturday, March 21st, 8:30 to 3. Let me know if you're interested and we can get you registered. Finally, the town offices will be closed Monday, February 17th in observance of the President's Day holiday.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for John? Nope. Any selectmen remarks this evening? Nope. Do we have any public comment this evening? Hearing none, we thank everybody for coming tonight. I don't know why you're all here. We'll go into old business. And I don't know, Hank, you want to start this out before we...
In order to open the discussion on this item, I move to reconsider our previous vote by changing the petition, by striking paragraph 3 in its entirety, and by adding the following: we also support all the rights as guaranteed under both the state and federal constitutions.
Any comments?
Can we get an explanation of?
Yeah, I think maybe John can give us a brief update. It might help everything to understand what happened here.
Again, the general backdrop, a lot of you folks were already here at the January 22nd meeting. The original discussion and the original topic was, should we install as an article in the town meeting warning a resolution expressing support for Second Amendment rights? And a couple of the selectmen felt that that was contrary to the tradition of town meeting, where you don't put non-germane, non-budget type matters on the town meeting warning. So then the conversation quickly morphed into the fact that the select board all seemed to express support for the Second Amendment, generally speaking. And with that said, there was a motion and a second to adopt a resolution in favor of gun rights. Since that time, obviously the matter has generated an awful lot of interest and enthusiasm on both sides of the issue. We had approached the Vermont League of Cities and Towns, basically showing them the resolution that was presented to us by, I think, Brian Wood. And they gave us some feedback. Basically, I can tell you exactly what I wrote them and what they wrote back, if you'd like. Does a Vermont municipality select board with no town charter, have the authority to express its opinion via resolutions voted on by board members on federal or state issues of the day? ? Does a Vermont select board, again, no town charter, have the authority to declare federal and state laws and regulations attempting to restrict Second Amendment rights to be null and void, either within or without the town's jurisdiction? Please see the final paragraph of the attached resolution, which was presented to the board. And we heard from VLCT the following: good morning, John. Our understanding is that this would be a symbolic and not a legally recognized designation. As you may be aware, this issue has garnered coverage by both the local and national media. And he attaches a couple of news articles about the topic. If the select board were inclined to adopt such a designation, the appropriate vehicle for it to do so would be via a resolution which is merely a formal expression of the select board's opinion as a public body, adopted by a simple majority of the total membership of the body. The Vermont Attorney General's Office is offering the following guidance concerning the resolution to Vermont's municipalities, and then quote, laws enacted by the General Assembly, including those that regulate firearms, are the laws of our state. Those laws are binding unless and until they are legislatively repealed or held unconstitutional by a court. Cities and towns passing resolutions purporting to opt out of compliance with state laws are not valid. We will instruct cities and towns that these resolutions have no legal effect. The Attorney General's Office, he goes on to say, will continue to enforce Vermont law, unquote. Then the VLCT letter concludes by saying, I would recommend that whatever resolution is presented to the Select Board be reviewed prior to its adoption. And so what we have before us is the original resolution as presented by Brian Wood. Some towns have adopted it. Other towns have adopted a revised version of it. For example, Chittenden has adopted the version without the last paragraph declaring infringing laws to be null and void. So you have lots of options available to you. You can sign whatever you'd like to sign.
Dave?
Mr. Chairman, I wasn't able to make the last meeting due to a death in the family, but anyways, I've gotten some information, feedback on that, and I guess I'm curious as to, after what John said, what did Butch Shaw have to offer when he came and met with you and Hank and the town manager as to why he doesn't want this paragraph in there? And I can't seem to get an answer from him.
There again, my interpretation was that we would be going against state law if it's in.
I don't read that as what John said.
Well, that's-
I thought the League of Cities and Towns
No,
said
they
that
said
you
that
got the
last
right to do what you
paragraph.
want.
No, that's not what they said, I don't believe.
Did I read that wrong? Anybody here?
Well, we can, let's read the,
We'll
let's
read
read
it
the
again,
original
John.
resolution.
No, our interpretation is the opposite.
What's being proposed is, and what's being discussed is this final paragraph, I
He
think,
thinks
which
we'd
is,
be going against state law.
which is the most of concern. Furthermore, per Marbury versus Madison, the township hereby declares all federal and state laws and regulations attempting to restrict these rights to be infringements, hence null and void under this resolution. That, I think, is the paragraph that has caused some people
That's
some
the
concern.
paragraph.
But the league did not say that it doesn't authorize or recommend to the town that they take that out. Am I correct on that, John?
It does not say so, no, it says
Okay.
it's not,
That's all I
it'd be
wanted to know.
symbolic.
That the league say they recommend to the select board that you take that out, and they did not. So, I guess when you 5 members voted last weekend with that in there, what's changed your mind that's so demanding that you don't want that there?
I personally, I don't want to go against any state law or regulations that we have to follow.
I don't see where that happens.
I'm getting conflicting, I don't know what the rest of the board members say.
My opinion is, David, we have expressed with the new petition, by the first 2 paragraphs, our support
We
of
support it.
the Second Amendment, and by the third edition, but then again, we support all laws under both constitutions, rights and privileges.
But at the last meeting, you supported this with that paragraph in there, am I not correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so.
And I will have to
isn't there a
say,
state statute, Hank?
I did vote yes for that,
We
David.
did.
And I wasn't fully clear on what it meant, and so I made a mistake, in my opinion, so I'm trying to rectify it tonight.
But isn't there a state statute that I was informed of at one time that once you make a vote, whether it be on paper, written, or a voice vote, as long as it's recorded in the minutes, you can't back away from it?
Yes, you can.
There you go.
Oh.
You can you have to reconsider by
Reconsider.
3/5, either 2/3 or 3/5.
2/3.
So you need a vote from the.
We'd have to have a vote of the board.
I've asked for a vote of
Yeah,
reconsideration
that's what he's.
in my
yeah.
motion.
I'm a little confused then, how could there be a sanctuary city for immigrants that goes against federal law?
You're at the wrong meeting. I don't think
Yeah.
anybody here can give you an answer for that.
Yeah, that's the feds. Dave.
Yeah, hi. So if I understand the Vermont League, and basically, I believe they've just reaffirmed what was first shared at the last meeting, that this is a symbolic gesture.
It's symbolic,
only.
either way, exactly.
And
It's not
in
binding.
no way,
It's not
right,
binding, no,
it's not binding.
no.
It is symbolic, and therefore does not go against any particular law. It is simply making a statement. So I'm,
If you guys all remember, probably, I was the one that said, I think we ought to make a motion that we would support it, because I do support the Second Amendment. And I said, then I'm gonna take my gun away from you. And, you know, if it's symbolic, I personally don't have a problem with it, but
I guess that's
there's
the thing
there's
from,
been a lot of controversy since this aired, and Alicia's had several phone calls and emails, and John has, and I have.
Can we hear
So-
from the rest of the board to see
Yeah,
how they feel about it?
they certainly are more than welcome to say anything.
Well, and I have heard from more than several, a lot of people who are opposed to this, and but mostly what it came down to was that the five of us decided this instead of it being up to vote, and that goes from people from who are on either side of this issue. Everyone, that's the one place everyone agrees that this should go to vote at town meeting.
But the select
For a
board
floor
saying it
vote.
can't be on the ballot.
But it could be up for a floor vote
It
at
could be for
town
a
meeting,
floor vote, probably.
which is what I would like to
Actually, it's
see.
not on the warning, so that.
It's
would be
not on the
under-
warning,
under
so I
business.
don't know if it'd be on the other,
And that would
other
be up-
business, it
That would
could
be up to the
up to the
moderator.
moderator.
To allow you to bring it up to the
Yeah.
floor.
Just as a matter of background, when Brian brought this to the board, I believe it was the request to either get it on the ballot or to bring it up at town meeting, and it wasn't, the idea of bringing it to town meeting was not acceptable.
The reason being that was not acceptable is normally any item like this is done by petition. You didn't have enough time to do a petition. The only ones that are put on would be money items, which, like, there was an organization that asked. It's only the money items that are put on without petition.
And even when
That's
there's
what we're
been
there.
petition, the board still has the authority.
still has the authority not to put it on the
warning
warning.
as non-germane if you want
If
to.
it's non-germane, yes.
Yeah, and the feeling of the board for the last number of years, I've been on 19 years, the feeling of the board is we're only gonna deal with items that are germane to the town business. That means items that are controlled, the town has control over, that we can vote on and make a difference. Any item that we can't vote on is superfluous, and it just clogs up the meeting. So it's been the policy of the board since I've been on it, and before that we do not accept any non-germane items, whether petitions or not.
I personally will sign that petition tonight like it originally said I would. And if it wants to be brought up at town meeting night, it could be brought up again, I guess, for those that oppose it. And we can withdraw it at that point.
And that's, as I have thought of this, I mean, the phone calls I have gotten have been in favor of it. That's
Yeah,
three
mine
or
have been
four
in favor
people
of
have
it.
gotten hold of me and have been in favor of it. That's what I've heard.
Mine have been in
I
favor
know
of it.
Alicia has seen both sides, which is fine. I have no problem with it the way it is. And I ran into Butch Monday down at the governor spoke at a breakfast. And again, Butch, you know, well, you need to get that last paragraph out, but he wouldn't tell me why. He wouldn't give me a reason why. And that, to me, you give me a legitimate reason why, okay, take it out. Now, to me, if we cut off at infringement and left out the null and void, I don't have a major issue with that either.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, does everybody know what that Supreme Court ruling is about?
I went to law school, and that's basically the first case you learn about, Marbury versus Madison.
Yes.
And it's the case from the Supreme Court that says that the Supreme Court has the authority to strike down any federal or state statute as unconstitutional.
Yep.
That's what gave the Constitution.
That's
law.
right.
Standing.
Yes, exactly. Way in the back.
Hi, I'm Steve Belcher.
Hi, Steve.
I oppose this resolution, and I have expressed my views on paper to the five of you. I would like to just put it forth. One, it's not symbolic. I mean, you are essentially claiming in this resolution that you have an authority you do not possess. 2, it is a very divisive issue, and Pittsford is already divided. I would like to see you working to bring us together. 3, has already proved to be misleading down in Vermont, where sanctuary cities believe that gun laws are null and void. So it's going to be open to error here down in Virginia, sorry. I get my views confused, okay? In the Virginia places. And 4, by endorsing this resolution, you are tacitly recognizing the gun movement's claims that they can nullify laws and that violence against the government in support of gun rights is legitimate. And I do not want to see Pittsford take a position like that. Thank you.
I disagree.
I don't see it that way myself personally, but.
And if I might, and I heard kind of some rumors around town to that effect. And, and that was the one thing that I looked at was, is there some kind of standing history here in just our state? Not worried about Virginia, I'm talking about Vermont. And that's where we looked at Irishburg back in 2013, adopted similar language. And the same short time thereafter, between 2015 and 17, I believe, of Newport, who also adopted similar language. To no ill effects. And again, it is a symbolic gesture, but it wasn't to any ill effect to those municipalities either. And I guess I'm just sharing from a concern standpoint.
Voted in by the people.
So, certainly. But I think now the Irishburg one was just adopted by the select board. And I'm not overly familiar, I just know that the Newport one happened, I'm not entirely sure of that history. But just from a Wayne concerns point of view, this is not outstanding and or utterly unique. I just wanted to share that.
Anybody else?
And I appreciate you rethinking your action that you took, and I appreciate the change to the last paragraph. I too am a supporter of Second Amendment. I do not support military-style weapons, high-capacity magazines, bump stocks, those kinds of things. But I've always supported the Second Amendment, will continue to do so. I have to say, over such a controversial topic, it surprises me that the select board would take this action themselves without remembering the people whom they represent. You represent these fine folks in this room, you also represent several other people. And to not give them an opportunity to express their thought on this subject, I think is just a misstep. I also question how select persons have to take the same oath of office that I have to take as a school board director, which says uphold the laws. So I think that's probably why that third, Butch, I can't speak for Butch, but I'm guessing he has to take a similar oath in the legislature to uphold the laws. So I'm guessing that's why he may not have been able to support this with that third paragraph in it, because you can't in one side of your life take an oath that says you support the laws and then sign a resolution that says laws are going to be null and void in the town in which you are the leadership. And John, if I could just ask you to clarify one thing that you got from your input. I believe you said the resolution simply is a statement of the select board's opinion. Is that correct? Did you read that?
That's how I phrased the question to the VLCT.
Okay, so it would be important for me that every time this action is spoken about, it's spoken about as the opinion of the select board, nothing to do with the town of Pittsford. Because all of us standing right here, we don't represent the town of Pittsford. We're a very small piece of the town of Pittsford.
Bonnie, thank you. You explained it a lot better than I could.
And I had Ernie, is it okay if I read a letter from someone who sent Ernie Cleary, who couldn't be here, who asked me to read a letter for him?
Sure,
Is that
go ahead.
allowed or not allowed?
Sure, go ahead.
You got time on your 5 minutes.
It says on
She's got 5
January
minutes.
2nd at a Pittsford, I'm sorry, I keep going forward. At a Pittsford Select Board meeting, Brian Wood of Lawrence presented a resolution endorsed by an organization known as the Gun Owners of Vermont. He also asked me if the Select Board had done any research into what the Gun Owners of Vermont is. What is that group? What's its history? What's it represent? The resolution declares all federal and state laws and regulations attempting to restrict these gun owners' rights to be infringements, hence null and void. Mr. Wood requested that this resolution be put on the town meeting day ballot in March. There are at least 3 reasons the select board members should not have touched this resolution, yet they signed it unanimously. I don't believe you signed it.
We haven't signed it.
I didn't think so. First, the select board members take an oath of office, uphold the laws of the state of Vermont. In 2018, Vermont expanded background checks, raised the age to buy guns, banned the sale of bump stocks and high-capacity magazines, and created laws that allow authorities to take guns from those considered a threat to themselves or others. Abiding by this resolution violates the select board members' oaths of office. Second, as noted by Selectman Pelkey, it has been a long policy of the town select board not to allow any issues to be included in the town meeting that are not specifically germane to the town. Third, the state of Vermont does not allow municipalities to create their own laws regarding firearms. Local governments do not have that power. Mr. Wood said of the resolution, it doesn't have a real legal standing, but it would send a strong message to Montpelier. That could be so, but it would also send a strong message to others who might then see Pittsford as a good place to bring whatever types of weaponry they want, so they can exercise whatever new rights they think this resolution endows them with. Why did the select board not table this resolution so both they and the residents of Pittsburgh could think about it? Why act so hastily? And in the last paragraph, using the word sanctuary to describe a place where tools of violence are promoted is quite a misnomer. A sanctuary is the most sacred part of a church. It is a place of worship. What do these gun owners worship? And this is from Ernie Clark.
Thank you.
Mark Winslow. I think it's important to point out that there's not a gun movement going on here. There's an anti-gun movement going on here. All you have in here involved with this resolution is law-abiding citizens that would like to retain their constitutional rights against an anti-gun movement. And that's what we're seeing in Vermont, one way or another. So I would look at it as, these are already things that are on the books. There's no masses that are gonna come in and disrupt society. These are the same things we've had for years. So I'd like you to keep it in that context, please.
It's my opinion that the revised petition that I'm advocating does send support and a message to the state that the town of Pittsburgh does support Second Amendment rights.
Could you repeat the motion that Hank made?
The motion is to delete paragraph 3
Or the final paragraph, yeah.
The final paragraph.
in its entirety and add
And
the following.
add.
We also support all the rights as guaranteed under both the state and federal
And federal
constitutions.
Constitution.
I don't know why anybody would have a problem with that. We're advocating for everybody.
No.
And that, my petition is the only one, I will not sign the original petition, even though I voted for it. I will sign this new petition as a personal
Joe,
statement.
you had a,
I have one quick point.
Yeah.
We did receive numerous letters and emails from some people who could not be here tonight. They have been put in your packets tonight. Some of them asked me, if I could read them. Would you like me to read them? I can read the ones, at least from Mr. Rosato, who asked me to do so.
sure.
Okay, I'll find those and do that.
While he's looking at it, you have a question, Frank?
Well, yeah, I just want to say, Mr. Clarahue said that guns were a tool of violence.
That's quicker. Thank you.
That's not, they're a tool, but they're not a tool of violence until a criminal gets it.
That's right.
Plain and simple.
First of all, before I get to Mr. Rosato, David and his wife, Barbara Lacey, Linda Lacey, I'm sorry, wrote in. Baird Morgan had concerns. James Haley stated opposition. Bob DeMarco has an email again in the packet. And there was an exchange between several folks and Alicia Malay that's in the packet. Peter Cady had some input. Stephen Belcher has a letter in the packet. He's already spoken on his own behalf. And here's the one from Dave Rosato. I regret I am unable to address this meeting. Work precludes me from being here in person. It's come to my attention that the board is second-guessing its decision to sign the previously passed resolution, which declares Pittsford a Second Amendment sanctuary township. To that end, I submit the following for your consideration. When our forefathers signed the Declaration of Independence in August of 1776, the last sentence of that document reads in part, quote, "We mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor," unquote. In short, they put everything they had on the line in order to begin the quest for our freedom. A bloody multi-year war against what was at the time one of the world's superpowers followed. After victory, it took years to write a constitution for the new republic. Then, at the 11th hour, when it came time to sign the document, all that had been accomplished up to that point began to unravel. Thomas Jefferson led a group of delegates that wouldn't sign unless a Bill of Rights was included, despite assurances that it would be added at the first Congress. George Mason, one of the framers, flatly refused to sign unless it included a Bill of Rights that protected the individual, and 2 states, Rhode Island and North Carolina, would not ratify the document unless it contained a Bill of Rights. This bit of history gives you an idea of the level of importance the framers placed on our individual rights, which, of interest to us this evening, includes the Second Amendment. In the ensuing years, tens of thousands of Americans have died fighting for our way of life, the ideals laid out in our Constitution, and for our freedoms guaranteed in that Constitution. Now, in 2020, here in Pittsford, Vermont, Select Board members are apparently reluctant to simply stand up and indicate by way of their signature on the resolution before them that they support the Constitution. This is almost incomprehensible to me in light of what it took to establish and maintain our rights over 243 years. I have to ask myself, what is the fear? Their lives, their fortunes, and sacred honor are not in jeopardy. Regarding the case at hand, there are politicians at the state and federal level that pass laws that run contrary to the intent and arguably the letter of both the state and federal constitutions. When this occurs, it is, in my opinion, the duty of dissenting congressmen and congresswomen to stand by their oath to uphold and defend the Constitution and indicate their dissent in the strongest possible terms. One method of indicating that dissent is to support resolutions such as the one now before the board. The dissent to the unconstitutional infringement of any of our rights must also apply at the local level where we, the people, live and work. For the record, when the Second Amendment sanctuary resolution was passed by the board, there was no opposition either by board members or by any citizen present at that meeting. Understandably, many of us would like to know what changed. Were members of the board threatened, harassed, intimidated in some way, or has new information come to light? If so, what was that information and by whom was it provided? This is a curious matter because of the total lack of opposition at the previous meeting. Finally, I believe each board member must answer the following to themselves in accordance with their own conscience. Do I really believe in and support the Constitution? Yes or no? I believe we are all likely to answer yes. Why then, you must ask, am I reluctant to sign a resolution that in practical terms does nothing more than to reaffirm my belief and support of that which is already enshrined in the federal and state constitutions? Why am I afraid to stand up and be counted with nothing at risk in comparison to those who came before us? I urge each of you to indicate your support for one of our constitutionally guaranteed rights by signing the resolution. David Rosado.
Thank you. Well, what's the board's pleasure? Joe?
After John reading that letter, that kind of reinforces my feelings. And my father was a great hunter. I'm not. But I have no problem with people having guns. And I feel as though in too many cases our rights that we used to have are being chipped away at and we're losing. And I don't want to go into any long discussion or detail, but I could tell you how that sometimes applies to the industry that I'm involved in. And I feel as though, no, I don't need an AK-47 to go deer hunting. That's not necessary. But the Constitution was set up years ago by some pretty wise old people. And who am I to say they didn't know nothing and I'm going to change it? I can't do that. until something comes along that really shows me a big difference. I don't know if this group that has presented this, how they feel about leaving that last paragraph out. I don't know that I'm voting on something that's going to change any rules and regulations. I believe it ain't. It's just a matter of letting whoever's interested know that I believe in the old rule, so to speak. And until somebody can show me where the old rule is all wrong, I'm going to stick with it. Thank you.
That's pretty good, Joe.
Thank you.
Dave? Same thing?
Yeah,
I'm-
I guess,
I'm on fine.
I think, what are the feelings
What, yeah, what
of,
do you guys feel?
what do you guys feel on that last sentence?
If we took out that last paragraph, you're cool with it, or
Or
you want it in
you
there?
want it left, or?
I think it should be the way it was passed, really. I do. I don't think it's gonna hurt anything. It's not gonna threaten anybody.
I have a question. I'm John McCarty. Been in Pittsford for not all my life, I'm sorry to say, because it's a nice town. Does this mean that we have to send a resolution in if we want people to be able to speak freely or practice religion? What's the sense of this? I don't want to say that I'm not against guns by any means, but I'm against publicity that this gentleman was talking about. I've seen a couple of sightings of a catamount in Pittsford, and I was told they don't exist. And I was told that they don't exist because if the word got out, people from the lower states would come up and go hunting them. And if we pass a resolution that doesn't mean a darn thing except for somebody might be angry or afraid that they're gonna lose their weapons, and it looks different to everybody that sees this resolution. I mean, I opened up the Mountain Times today and I saw this, and that's why I'm here. Because it said right on the headlines of the little article that Pittsford has decided to join the gun rights, or whatever, the gun, something or other, that just made me go, what's this all about? This is gonna attract a lot of people. If it's in the Mountain Times, everybody on the East Coast that skis, it's gonna, I don't know who it would bring. So if we need to have a resolution so that people can speak freely, or if we need a resolution so that people can obey the law, it seems redundant that we should have our name wrapped up in a proposal that really doesn't mean anything. Yes, we can send a message easily to Montpelier if that's what the idea here is, by calling them up. I mean, I've called up the state senator a number of times on the way that they handle Vermont tourism, and of course nothing ever gets done, but
That's because they don't listen to them up there.
That's great.
And that's,
That's the reason we're doing it.
well, no, and
to be honest
that's
with you.
unfortunately, what we're seeing here is a
This is what you're
symptom.
seeing.
It's a symptom of what is going on up there. There's a lot of people, not just me, but a lot of people that feel we are not being listened to at all. And so you end up with things like this to say, listen, enough.
This is what the people want.
This is,
Yes.
This is what Vermont's
And I mean, and I'll relay a story from 2 or 3 years ago. I'm Pittsford's representative to Rutland Regional Planning Commission, and this doesn't have anything to do with guns. This has to do with, and I don't remember specifically, but it was the energy plan for the county. Ed Bove called me up. He was in the Grand Canyon, and there was a bill. It was in Senator Bray's committee, and there were some things about it that Rutland County didn't like. And he wanted me to go up and testify. He knew years ago I used to testify when I was in Vermont Beef Producers. I used to go up. So he knew I had an idea what was going on. But anyway, he gave me the number. I called. I get this person, very snarky. Well, I don't know what you're talking about. You need to email me. I mean, and I explained who I was calling for. So I emailed. I never heard anything back. The next meeting, both Ed and Annette Smith, who was the delegate from Danby, who spends a lot of time up there, came up to me and thanked me for trying to get there. But Mr. Bray had stacked the whole committee with people that were gonna say what he wanted to hear. And unfortunately, that goes on all the time up there. And, you know, will this amount to anything? I don't know, but at least we're trying to get the people's voices heard. And I think that from my perspective, that's where I'm coming from on this.
All right, I'm gonna take one or two more questions, and then we're gonna cut it off. Yes.
Can't the whole town, you know, can't you listen to the whole town? I believe in guns too, but I just think that this is a subject that the whole town should be able to have some input in. Could it be brought up as new business or old business or whatever of the town?
I do agree with that. I don't regret having voted for this at all, though I would like to see it go up for a vote at town meeting on the floor, which is what everyone had asked for originally anyway.
And you people said you couldn't.
Yeah, we were shocked.
Well, no, that we hadn't.
No.
I guess that the precedent had been that typically, you know,
Typically,
that Pittsford
not
has
on the
not
warning.
done that.
I don't
Doesn't
know
mean
why it can't be brought up.
So
If the moderator would do it, it could be brought
Yeah,
up
there's
under,
other business
there's
under
other
which anyone
business
can
at
raise
town
any topic
meeting, and
they
I don't know why
like.
that couldn't be done at that time. Would be my recommendation, that y'all show up at town meeting, and when the moderator says, is there any other business to come before this meeting, raise your hand and
Right,
say
then everyone
yes.
gets their say.
And that would maybe, let the whole town kinda know what's going on here. Clarence?
The only trouble with town meeting is, that's a small.
It won't be if it's in the paper. You'll see what's here tonight.
Well,
There you go.
I mean, and this
If
is-
it's
this is a very-
controversial, Clarence, people will be there. If there's no controversy, there won't be 50 people at town meeting. And that's what happens. So if there's controversy, people will come.
And it's still
they're
more
gonna be
input than
heard.
just the five of
And it's
us.
not just, this board sitting here making the decision. You know, I'm comfortable either way with it, to be honest with you. I firmly believe in the Second Amendment, and I'm willing to sign the thing now, but maybe it's up to everybody, so.
Tom, if I
Yeah.
may?
That's how I feel.
Hank,
I'd like to reiterate that my proposed petition is exactly the same as yours does, but I think it's a lot less divisive. It shows that we're supporting the Second Amendment, as we are all other rights. And to me, that should be the priority, even without the last paragraph in there. And I think you'll get more votes that way than you will if you have that last one in there.
even at town meeting, I think you would too.
So
Dave?
I urge you to consider that.
So, well, then here's a question, and I guess it would be to Brian and to the select board, that perhaps a resolution here, because you do have some folks that arguably feel like they were left out. That if the select board were to adopt Hank's suggestion for, to alter the language for this evening,
Yeah,
but then Brian could bring up at town meeting from the floor the direct language to be voted on at town meeting. And would that be
is that fair to
reasonable?
everybody? I mean,
My
that
question
would
is,
let everybody.
what's the mechanism for voting under other business? There's nothing in the town meeting article. It's simply an opportunity for
Simply
people to
by
speak.
hand.
Yeah,
By
just to be a
speaking,
floor.
yeah.
Or maybe you could gather
Yeah.
petition
No,
signatures
they-
to be sent to Montpelier for
John, I think there's an article
No.
in there that says any other.
Any other
non-binding
business to be
Other business,
transacted.
right. But my
Yeah.
question is, they're talking about a vote. What's the point
But a
of the vote?
non-binding.
It's a non-binding
Okay,
vote
it's
either
It's a
way.
non-binding.
Right,
The vote
there's
we
still-
take tonight's
still more
non-binding.
participation.
I see.
Right, the whole
thing-
thing is non-binding,
non-binding.
we know that, going
Yeah.
into it. Tonight is non-binding, and,
That's a given.
yeah, so let's do it both ways.
So sign it and you
We'll
would
sign
get
it.
more, you
You've
would
got-
get more input out of Montpelier with your signatures on it.
Exactly.
Trust me.
That's why I mentioned at the last
Yes.
meeting, I said, rather than do nothing,
Yes.
we all supported the Second Amendment, which I think we all do on this board.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Even though I've shot a gun maybe
And,
less than that many times.
and I
in
agree
my
with
life.
Bonnie, maybe the whole town needs to have some input in it, and that's the time to do it. Let everybody, and I'm sure you'll get some people there, on both sides. And that's a good time to have some good old conversation. Bonnie, one more time, that's it.
I think what that does, Tom, and I appreciate the stance that the select board sounds like they're moving toward. And I know I haven't always been your favorite person, so.
I don't know what ever gave you that impression, Bonnie. You're my dear, sweet cousin, I love
I
you.
just want to prevent what the gentleman, I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
David Mills.
Dave Mills.
I appreciate what he said. If this moves forward with any sense that the deck is stacked, like you felt when you went to
Mhm.
and there's a whole lot of people that feel like the deck is stacked, because to be frank, they've never seen the select board get a topic this controversial and act on it in the same meeting. It's always usually been over a couple meetings and the word gets out and people come and share their thoughts. So I think having people share their thoughts at town meeting is the opportunity to be represented. And again, I'm gonna say, I don't think there's anybody, I haven't heard anyone here, I don't wanna speak for anyone, but I'm guessing most people in here, myself included, are supporters of the Second Amendment.
Oh, I'm sure they
There's
are.
other amendments of the Constitution that are just as important, and we have to make sure we don't run roughshod over those while we're trying to support the Second Amendment.
Exactly.
But I say, and along those lines, I guess what I would say is, if for whatever reason we decided that we're not gonna do anything with this resolution and we're just gonna push it off, now we've set the precedent list. Just say they come after, let's just say our Third Amendment, and they decide they're gonna put soldiers in our houses. Not that that would probably ever happen, but who knows? You don't know.
So do
We've set the precedent that we're not gonna stand, we didn't stand for the second, so now we can't stand for the third. And I would like to think that any time something like this happens, that the town of Pittsford would stand for our rights.
And I would like to think that too, which is why I think it needs to be a town meeting discussion.
Oh, I
And
think,
David, and that's why I added the last sentence.
So
no, I know, I
Just
know.
to make sure that we have all the rights in there.
Yep.
So do you have that resolution?
Well, the question is, what resolution
The one-
are you interested in signing?
The one that Hank proposed, with that third paragraph eliminated.
Yeah,
Well,
I-
what do you
I-
think?
That's still decided if the original vote is no good,
Well,
right?
No, they haven't. They haven't.
No, there hasn't been a second, we're having the discussion.
Discussion.
So the board has seen.
We have to
The board has
decide.
seen two versions.
We've seen two
You've seen
versions.
the original version and you've seen the new version or an alternate version with that last paragraph.
We haven't seen it to sign. So.
You've seen it in the draft.
In the
form.
draft.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So I guess the question is, which one would you like to sign, or do you want to have further discussion about it?
well, I just want to back up too. We started having the discussion before there was a second.
Yeah. So we do.
This board was presented with a proposal. I feel as though we should endorse the proposal that was brought to this board rather than to change it, twink it, and rewrite it, and leave out this and add in something else. This group of people that was here at our last meeting, they didn't come here and ask us to draft something. They give us a proposal. And I think we ought to accept their proposal, unless you people say, go ahead and do your own thing. But I feel as though I should represent what was presented to me in the beginning, not twink it. Unless you people say, well, go ahead, if you say to the select board, well, drop something to
No,
Oh,
and
your
I
liking.
agree with
I'll-
Joe. I
I'll
think we
agree
should
with
leave
Joe.
the
And,
language.
and drop whatever you want on.
Tonight?
That's kind of an
I'm gonna
insult
sign it
to
tonight, so
this group of people
keep them happy. and
that are
everybody else.
taxpayers, I assume, in the town of Pittsford. I don't think you're here unless you're paying something.
No, we pay and pay.
So I think we should either endorse, go along with what you people have asked us to go along with, or else tell you we want to change it and we want your opinion, your approval to change it. And I think that's kind of an insult to you people if we were to rewrite it. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I
Thanks
mean, I
for
agree with
listening.
Joe, and I think we should leave the language the same, but why can't we just hold off on signing it until we find out what happens at town meeting when it goes up for a floor vote?
Well,
No, that's not what they wanted.
No,
We
we ought to
voted
sign
for
it
it.
because it
Okay.
doesn't
And they can
matter.
rescind
I
it.
think if you're gonna stand
Tell
behind
me.
it, you gotta sign
It's
it.
not
Yeah,
binding
yeah,
in any
yeah.
way anyhow.
Yep.
This is
Let's
just
have
an
the
opinion.
petition.
I think,
was.
what I think is we sign it tonight,
I do too.
with the understanding
Will it be
that
brought up town
it's
meeting?
brought up at town meeting.
That's okay.
Under no,
Is that
there's
agreeable with
no,
everybody?
just make
Is that
sure
agreeable?
whoever the moderator is understands
somebody
that
in the audience who wants
that
to.
will be
We'll-
brought up. Is
Exactly.
everybody pretty much agreeable with
Send
that?
over the original one,
Well,
John.
to my point, Montpelier will listen closer
If-
if a select board sends it
Oh,
with
yeah.
their signatures on it.
Yes, they will.
Right.
That's my point.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know about that. We got a letter we're gonna send the state too, which they might not listen to it too either.
Yeah.
The original one,
Here's the
yes.
original, town letterhead.
They only listen with one ear, Dave, either.
Go ahead, so, you wanna sign it? I will. You don't wanna sign it? I will.
Put your signature on, Joe.
Huh?
Put your signature on.
You want us to sign it now?
You do as you wish. You're the boss, you're the selectman.
No, I'm not the boss.
Tom, not for
But I will
not
sign
to
it.
take up any more time, but I'm gonna put my original question back out there now, the one I said I wasn't gonna ask, but Hank addressed it. I think you're violating your oath of office when you sign that. Because you take an oath of office that says you uphold all laws, and now you're signing a resolution that said not these laws. I just wanna make that clear.
It has
Well,
no authority.
They, it has no authority, and guess
Move the
what?
question.
They can take us to court.
That's it.
Well, and I believe we also, in that, to obey the Constitution too, correct? I
Yes,
didn't get
and
my
that's-
letter out.
No, it
No,
wasn't.
and it does.
It says both the Constitution and,
I don't feel that I should vote.
No, it's.
I'm gonna vote and you not be able to, you know, I wanna represent you people that brought that here to start
So
with.
by you saying that, is it adopted?
Yes, not
Yes.
unanimously though.
That's what, we understand that.
It was voted in unanimously, but wasn't signed unanimously.
Okay.
Just make that clear.
Probably don't matter if it's unanimous. or not.
No,
As long as
There's-
there's a quorum, then there's a quorum.
there's a forum. We're done. All right. Update on preparations for town meeting, town report, John.
Thank you for your.
Thank you for everybody coming. I'm sure you don't want to sit and listen to the rest of this bull crap.
Come
Stop
anytime.
letting people go.
Come anytime.
I know, we should make you
Why
sit
do you do
here.
that?
We should make y'all sit here. We got it. I think this way, both sides can be heard. They
oh
can-
no,
they
it
can
needs,
say-
it
come
needs to be
back.
brought up at town meeting,
Yeah,
it
there's
does.
no question.
I don't know why we could have held off on signing it though until we found out.
Don't amount to nothing anyway.
Yeah, but we,
All it is symbolic.
It's
it's
symbolic.
symbolic and we agreed to sign, I mean, worst case, if the town meeting, the majority.
We
says
know
it's
Washington's
Reddish,
not
then
going by the Constitution, so why the hell shouldn't we?
See what happens.
Yeah.
We got lots of people.
Makes me not want to be a Democrat anymore, or a Republican anymore. I've turned to a
I'm
Democrat.
representing.
Who has?
It's me. I won't vote
feel as though
Republican.
I'm
The hell's wrong with
behind
you?
this group of people.
So was I.
You gonna
You
vote?
talk about the Constitution, they violated that son of a bitch. How many
So
times?
do the Democrats. They both do. They both need to go.
Yeah, well, the guy sitting there needs to go, for one thing.
A lot of them need
Oh
to
my
go.
God. I cannot believe it.
I didn't change
Yeah, they're all crooked. Blatant. I mean,
Well, they're all pretty blatantly crooked, both sides. It would be nice if the whole swamp got drained.
oh yeah, and it's gonna, I think.
Well, maybe.
Let's hope. Let's hope both sides.
It's still
Both
unanimous.
And now you'll
sides.
change, and this happened before with me and Dave.
I didn't change my vote.
The camera's rolling, so all the stuff that's going on up there.
I didn't change my vote.
Oh, we'll take a 5-minute recess. How's that? You can shut it off. We open the meeting. Oh, I need that back. Joe didn't sign it. Okay, we'll go back into new business for a minute here. And we've got somebody from the state would like to talk to us about the bridge, I think.
Well, I'm here at the town's request. And you guys want an update?
We had told her we'd like an update,
We'd
and we're
like an
concerned
update.
about the deterioration.
Seeing as
that's
it's falling
happening.
apart, there's holes that you can look down through and see the brook.
You're gonna close it.
I hope
No
so.
more traffic through
Good.
Pittsburgh.
Tomorrow or
No.
tomorrow?
Till the Route 7 upgrade.
Well, now is when you cut it and you leave. Leave it like that.
So,
Burning down.
so I didn't really know what you really wanted, but I'll give you an update on
Timing would be good.
what's happening. So,
Hold my breath.
so we got a little delayed because originally segment 1, which is the one that is under construction, sort of, not really, but now, it was gonna come to a certain point on, right before you get to the mobile station, come down, it was gonna stop. Then my project where the bridge is gonna start. But it kind of left this gap in the middle, like 200 feet or something like that. And I'm like, when I saw this, I'm like, well, why are we doing this? I don't get it. And I know part of the reasons had to do with some right-of-way potential issues. So I was able to engineer it so that we added that section to my project. So now they'll do their project, then my project will start exactly where they stop, and we'll be all done until we get beyond the bridge. So we had to make some changes in our plans and, you know, change our right-of-way plans. So it got a little bit delayed, but not a lot. So right now, we are completed our final plans, and it will be going under some reviews in the near future, and the town will get to see a set of those plans. Probably
2030.
no, in April.
29.
March,
Okay.
April, you should see a set of plans. I've got to make some changes because we have technically started the right-of-way process. One of my, the person that works in right-of-way has been talking to the ransoms. And apparently, unbeknownst to everyone on our end, not probably on the town's end or the district's end or the ransom's end, there's a pipe that goes underneath this garage.
Oh, they didn't, under the garage.
Oh, yeah. And, it's so, back in the, either the 30s, back in the 30s, 50s, whatever, when there was no house there, and the town was going through with a project, they were supposed to put a pipe that ran parallel to Route 7 to the river, but it was on the plans. However, I think they said, oh, why don't we put the pipe right here down this drive? And there was no garage there at the time. And then meanwhile, after the fact, the garage gets built, and the town doesn't, the state doesn't have an easement. They can't find any record of that. So it's kind of, it's a little glitch. I met with the ransoms before I came here, and got some more information, and because we're negotiating with him for the rights to go on his property to do this project. So I think he's not going to be an issue. We're gonna make amends because there's going to be a temporary bridge that actually is going to be almost in the house, right there by the river.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And apparently now the bedroom where there was a porch, now it's the master bedroom, and so like when you're driving by, you can literally say hi and there's a bed. So
Oh, God.
we've got to add some additional, some screening, some other work. So, but that's just a little piece of it. So we're starting the right away. I think tonight you're going to get something for Eric. Eric Furs is another agent that's working.
He's asked for a quit claim deed, just basically releasing any right-of-way at the bridge, so that you can have free and clear opportunity to
I think it has to do with the Oxbow
rebuild.
Road maybe, because you got to have right away there. And so what we've done is that originally, years ago, they talked about putting a light there at Oxbow and Route 7. And that was going to be part of, not a light, but that road work was going to be part of segment 2, which I don't know if that ever will get built. You know, segment 2 is
2028, it's the last of our segments.
Oh, 2028? Okay.
Yeah.
I
Well,
will
that's
not
the
be
last
around.
we heard.
2028. Okay, so in 2028, they'll go from my bridge project up through town. And so that was going to be part of that, but we actually reconfigured that a little bit. There's going to be no light, but that work is going to be the permanent Oxbow road work. There's going to be no more work there from our end of it as far as the Route 7 connection. We said at one point they were going to put this retaining wall like all the way up the road, push the road way over towards the river, and I'm like, we don't need to do that. So I actually got that redesigned, and I think everyone's going to be happy at the end of the day. So that's good news. So I think we have a really good set of plans. Our hope is that our right-of-way is going to clear by about a year from now, give or take, and we're going to advertise a year from now. March, February, March, April. So have a contractor on board by, June, May, June, and then they'll start work, and that first thing that they'll do is put the temporary bridge in. We're gonna actually, that culvert that goes under the garage, we're gonna fill that, we're gonna put a new culvert in and fill that culvert that's under the garage so there'll be no more water going underneath the property there, underneath the garage on the Ransom property. But we'll do that, build the temporary bridge, then they'll move traffic over there. They'll start demolishing the existing bridge, build like 2/3 of the new bridge, and then move traffic onto that new part, take out the temporary, and then build the rest. So it's gonna be like a two-year construction season. Yeah, unfortunately, there's just no way around it with the traffic. It, you know, yeah, if we didn't have to have the traffic through Pittsford.
Well, yeah, there's no other way to get out of Pittsford.
Yeah,
It's not
I
like
know.
there's another road.
No, because you can't, because you got covered bridge here, you got this here, it just can't happen. So, so that's our plan. I'm hoping that things, work out. However, we'll go back to the right-of-way piece. Now, I know on segment 1, the state had to go to court, do a necessity hearing and do a bunch of stuff. And that's what
That's what they
delayed.
do for all segments, I think, right?
No, you don't have to, if
Well-
you get your right-of-way.
Yeah.
If everyone signs off and signs on the dotted line. So that didn't happen, and that's why that project got a little bit delayed, which worked out for me because mine's getting delayed, so. So at this point, we don't know if everyone's gonna sign off on the dotted line. So they're negotiating, our agents are negotiating, you know, Eric sent this thing for you guys to sign, and you guys will sign it right off, I'm sure, no questions asked.
Well, we did ask a couple of questions of Eric, and he attempted to explain it to me.
Do you need more help, or?
Well, yeah, I mean, I received.
While I'm
Well, we
here.
need help, yeah.
While I'm
So-
here.
I received
So
a
we're
quick claim
talking
deed
2
in the
years
mail.
before this thing starts, is that
Nope,
what I'm
21,
hearing?
it will start in 21.
21.
Next summer.
But
Next summer.
it'll last 2 years. Of
The last 2 years. So in the meantime, we're gonna live with that
It's gonna be
decking on
bad.
there that's so bad that the holes keep opening up
Yeah,
and
it's nice, you know, the state comes out, well,
they
here's
can't
the
even
thing is
shim
that,
coat that until
What?
they fix it. They can't even put a shim coat on that to kind of, you know.
well, I can, you know, I mean,
That's just like Route 7 through the village. I mean, did you drive Route 7 through the village? You're from the state. Go ahead and drive down through here and by the
unfortunately,
school.
I drive through this way a lot.
Do you? Well, I hope you get your car lined up every now and then because you certainly should have to
I
do
live
it.
up in Essex, and actually I drove down this way. I have, my
'Cause it's-
relatives live in Southern Vermont, so I drive it every now and then. But
That
I
road's
can,
deplorable.
you know, we'll take a look at that. I'll discuss that a little
That
bit more.
Route 7
with
needs a
the-
shim coat
with the district.
from the Catholic Church to Plains Road. That road is terrible. And we've been told they're not going to touch that till 2028 regardless. Well, I got news for them.
Is that what they're saying?
That's what somebody told me. I don't know if it's gospel or not, but
And that's why I
fact is,
mentioned
we
this
have a
other
letter going to somebody here, Secretary of Transportation tonight. We just signed it.
Oh, my name's not there, right? Good.
Oh, no. I'll say I had a meeting with you tonight, though.
Yeah.
We'll add that
We
to the
can,
bottom.
yeah, we can
Well,
do that
I'm
name
wondering why
on
they
it.
can't,
Think at least a
the
shim
district
coat.
can't, because they get money to do like paving.
I mean, that's an emergency deal, I think, through town
Well, you
Pittsburgh.
send that letter, and I bet you there'll be a project tomorrow.
I'll bet it won't.
Yeah.
Hey,
You work for the government, right? Yeah, okay.
We're talking state of Vermont, come on.
Yeah. No, usually though, those kind of things, they'll hit Joe's desk, and then it will hit Wade Simmons' desk, and he'll say to the district, what's going on, what can we do? Because I agree with you.
It's
You can't
terrible.
wait 8 years.
No, it's
Oh, no.
absolutely
No.
crazy.
No, so I think that's a good way of approaching it, and I say that.
Well, in that bridge, if you're headed north,
Yeah, what's
when
your?
you come down
you-
around
you
that
work for the
corner,
state,
that
don't you?
right-hand
You no
side
opinion?
is,
You
it's
got no
gone.
opinion?
I mean, that's really bad.
I don't have any opinion.
That's, the other way isn't as bad, but coming around that corner, because there's
You're
no
a
place
taxpayer.
for you to go, and it's, the way it's broken up, it's really rough. Just a small amount of pavement there would do a
It's
lot.
probably might be, so it's not where they have a plate there, because I know that bridge is made both, there's a lot of steel plates there, and sometimes the pavement,
Comes off the
About that,
plates.
yeah.
Well, it could be, yeah, because it's like the pavement's just,
yeah,
Yeah.
I'll
No,
I'll talk to
I
my
think they
inspector
picked
about
those
that.
up, I think. Those
Yeah,
steel
but-
plates are gone.
oh.
Have they gotta
why
have,
they shouldn't be.
There's no steel plates there, is there? No? I
I
don't
thought
think
there
so.
were, they put some steel plates.
They did it one time, then they picked them up, I believe.
Oh, yeah, no, those have been, oh, I thought you
Just
meant they
been down
paved
there?
over the steel
Yeah,
plates.
normally they pave
Oh.
over the steel plates.
I don't know.
And
I
then,
know
of
it's
course,
rough.
Of course, they put up the barrier because the railing.
Well,
on
the rails.
Oh, that
side
side's
Oh,
gone,
yeah.
is
yeah.
gone.
Now, so we've got, well, Joe, go ahead, you,
have they gotta have any public hearings, or is that all behind you?
Well, it's-
It is all behind us.
Good. I
Well,
guess.
if we have to go to court, that's a different, so I'm trying to prevent us having to go to court, because the court is like,
Yeah.
there's a petition,
Takes forever.
and then there's all this,
The
and then
waiting
they
game,
fight
the
it,
waiting
and then,
game,
and then,
yeah.
so, just to deal with the right-of-way process, it's almost a year from the time we decide we've gotta go to court. It's almost a year, 9 months to get through that whole process. Originally, the project was supposed to be advertised this fall, so that we could get out there and get started. But if I go to court, it can't happen. So my schedule has it being advertised next year. However, if we get things signed off in the next month or
You
so,
could do it sooner.
right away can clear, because the plans are done, and we could advertise earlier and just get out there and get that temporary bridge in. I mean, once we have the temporary bridge in, then I think everyone's gonna feel a lot more comfortable, right?
Yeah, in case that one falls in.
Well, that's the thing, so the worst thing
Oh,
the
boy.
worst thing that can happen with that bridge is that they have to make it one lane with lights.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
And that's
and
the
that would be-
worst thing that could possibly
That
happen.
is, yeah, it
It
is.
keeps the road open, but traffic
But-
will be
Oh, backed
interrupted.
up. Oh, yeah.
Imagine the
And-
winter time, what
Yeah.
happened in the winter time?
Well, you're gonna have all kinds of accidents with that hill, with people
Oh,
trying to
yeah, yeah.
stop.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not gonna be
So it's
good.
not a good situation.
Even during construction, it's gonna be bad.
So-
And then sometimes
Yeah.
what can happen is if all of a sudden we were told, I mean, it gets inspected every year, I'm sure. If we were told that if there's nothing
really
more we
bad,
can do
yeah.
to it, then we could advertise
Go.
this without having all the
Right.
right signed off.
You could at
It
least,
would be an emergency project.
yeah.
And everything disappears.
Yeah.
Whoever is inspecting it must have one eye like me, because they're not doing it.
Good one, Joe. One for Joe today.
Now I think I got two eyes like yours, Joe.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, so anyways, I mean, I think that there's progression being made. I know you guys haven't heard anything for a while.
I can see
We
it.
will have a public outreach officer when the project is under construction. Sorry.
Yeah,
That's okay. There'll be a public outreach officer, because there is one currently for the segment one, and I'm probably just gonna piggyback onto her work for our project.
What's that person's name, do you know?
I think it's Natalie Boyle.
Okay.
Well, I'm not 100% sure,
Yeah.
but she's the one. I know EIV got the project, and she lives in Rutland, so I'm sure she's the one. But we will have someone. I don't know 100% if it'll be Natalie or not, but we will have someone. And we can have a public meeting down the road when we get closer to construction.
I think we're gonna want one, because to let people know
Oh, what's gonna be
how it's
happening.
gonna transpire and how it's gonna work.
So now,
Yeah, we're,
They wanna compare it to Brandon.
oh God, no.
well, but it's gonna
But
be, it's gonna be as
similar.
bad
It
because
will
of,
be, yeah.
there's no place for people to
Because of the
go.
location.
So what's
no.
going to happen with that temporary bridge? It's just one lane.
One lane, yeah.
One lane. Yep.
And the Ransom's just brought up a concern, because in looking at the detour myself, where Arch Street intersects with Route 7
That's gonna be a
now,
problem, yeah.
and then we're pushing that detour a little bit closer over Arch Street.
Yeah.
And I don't think that, and with just the one lane of traffic, I think people are gonna have a hard time getting in and out of Arch Street.
Oh,
And
there's no
he
question.
explained that a lot of people
Yeah.
use that.
Held you
Well, I
up.
didn't know that was the real detour, that was the real shortcut road. Now I know.
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know now. But, so I may look into seeing if we wanna consider putting at least, a light system there in case that would be triggered by traffic, or, I'm just concerned about that intersection, and I don't know what the traffic count is for the amount of traffic on Arch Street, but,
That's a lot of traffic.
There's
on our
most
street.
every time
Plus
you go
got
down
fi-
through, there's
you
somebody
got
coming
emergency
off.
vehicles, too. You got first response and fire both on that street.
right,
Yeah.
on which street?
Arch Street. Fire station and first response building are on Arch Street. That's another problem. And you got Route 3 intersecting.
Yeah,
That's
so
a-
Route
that's
3
a
is
real
gonna
bugger
intersect,
down
so
there.
they're gonna intersect,
Yep. Route
and I
3,
think they're
Route
gonna
7.
have good sight distance with this new configuration with the temporary, so I don't think they're gonna be as much of an issue as this Arch Street is gonna be an issue. And of course, the Ransoms are concerned about getting in
You
and
don't
out of
know.
the driveways, and so they have some concerns. Actually, Nick Ransom mostly, because, I mean, his
His is-
that temporary
his-
bridge is
yeah,
like,
right in his
Right in his-
bedroom.
it's in his house.
It's in his house.
Yeah.
It's in his house. It's not a good situation. I'm not.
No, coming off 3, like if a truck is coming off 3 and then making that loop back around, is there gonna be room to get on that temporary bridge? I mean, I'm just, cause you got that island, so you,
There's no island.
That island's gonna
Gone.
be gone.
oh, so,
That's gone.
so even with the temporary bridge, the island disappears at the
Yeah.
time
Yeah,
of the temporary
this is kind
bridge?
of messy, but
That's gonna be gone, I think.
It'll make more sense that way.
so here's Route 3. Here's the temporary bridge. Here's his house. You can see the guardrails in his house. in the middle.
Almost, yeah.
And so there's
Arch
Arch Street right here, and you see
yeah.
there's not, it's just gonna be like, it should be made more, so that it's more T-bone, so that, not T-bone, I mean like more at a T, so that they can make that left-hand turn. I know most people are going
Most
right,
people are going right.
right? But here you've
What-
got these really wide.
What if they asked the church if they could T-bone that and
Well,
put it back?
Yeah, but you're still with Route 3, you're coming down this lane, and then a truck has gotta make the loop back around here.
I think they did it so that they'll cut this
They'll
way.
be able to, okay,
Oh.
that's, yeah, okay.
Right here, the Catholic Church is sitting right here. Is there any way the state could take and
That's
T
the future,
this?
that's the future project.
Well, even for
Arch.
even for this one,
No,
Tee
no,
it
because there's
and
this
then
historic,
put it back.
there's a historic piece.
Oh, there's just that water trough in there.
Yeah,
Move it,
guess
put it
what?
back.
I can't touch it.
Why?
'Cause
Well,
it's
you just,
We'll give it
historic.
permission.
you just, in the middle of the night, come with
Oh,
a
my
backhoe and, no, I'm not saying that, but anyway.
We could get that picked up, Brad, couldn't we? No problem. We can get that moved, no
But
problem.
that is the, what they're playing on Arch Street, I think,
I know.
is segment 2. They're
Oh,
actually
Jesus.
totally
Oh,
reconfiguring.
How it comes
Yeah, how
on.
it
Yeah.
comes in. I think it's gonna be like a, definitely more a T intersection, but they'll never get their NEPA document because of the historic truck.
Oh, I don't know. How's that gonna work with fire trucks trying to go over there? That's
Well, that's not my job.
That's another problem.
Now, what's the difference, now, last meeting, there was a document that we went through where they paid us $500 for something.
Right.
And then there's this quick claim deed that they're giving us $10 for.
Right.
What are the difference between those two?
Again, I'm glad Ms. Kelly's here because
Well, yeah,
you saw the email exchange I had with Eric first. So here's what happened. He sent me kind of code. I didn't know who Eric first was. And he said,
They're getting cheaper all the time, ain't they?
he got
Give them a
hold
cup
of
of
me and
coffee
said,
next time.
John, attaches a quitclaim deed for the town of Pittsford for all rights, title, and interest for the rights-of-way in the area of the replacement of Bridge 108 at Route 7 and 3 intersections. Call with any questions. So I said, Eric, please, in plain English, what is V-Trans asking the town to transfer? This is a document that gives V-Trans the right-of-way within the existing right-of-way. Basically, as we do these projects, V-Trans likes to assure that they in fact own within the right-of-way. They use this document just to make sure that they own the rights within the corridor of the project limits. There is no exchange of any real property.
okay, so they have a right of way, town of Pittsford still owns that property because all they have is a right of way on it. But they wanna buy, essentially, they wanna buy that property.
They want full
Right,
access
so-
to do their project
so
without any encumbrance from us.
It's gotta be this property.
Isn't that by,
Sorry, it's off the Oxbow, right?
yes,
Well,
It's
Oxbow
this-
is the one that gave us the $500
Right.
to put up a temporary guardrail.
Right,
on
and
our-
that's the
on our
same
land.
one.
Right, yeah.
So this is the
It's the
town
same one.
owns that
Yes,
whole
yes.
area right
Yep.
here.
yes.
So yeah, so that we need some rights to go in there
They're gonna
and
put a
redo
fence
that
or
whole
something.
intersection.
Yeah.
Well, we're widening the road a little bit, Oxbow, putting in some guardrail. And then we are going to have a temporary pedestrian walkway over there to hold the water line during construction and to have,
Because
pedestrians can walk.
our water line is attached to that
To the
bridge.
bridge.
It'll
That's
have to be
being
relocated,
redesigned.
temporary, and then
Relocated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
reset.
So if we look back at this sheet right here,
that's
there's
the
the,
one.
there's the temporary
Yeah,
pedestrian bridge / water line.
yeah,
And then it comes back over here, so there's the the town's, all that's within the town.
Right.
All that work, so that's what they're asking for.
That's the $500 plus the.
Plus 10?
Yeah.
Plus
With
10. So
I think it's a
$510
really
bucks.
good deal.
Good deal.
With the new
Yeah,
bridge,
because you're the one buying it. You think it's a good deal, yeah.
with,
Well, it allows us.
Can we
yeah.
negotiate
Well,
that?
I wish I could. Sometimes I think I could offer more. With property owners, I'll say,
yeah.
why don't you just give them 1,000?
Just do it and get done
That's how
with
the
it.
town doesn't want to be accused of slowing you down.
No.
Oh, I know. Most towns will sign on the
Yeah.
deadlines.
with the town, the new bridge, the water line will still be attached to the
Yes.
new bridge.
Yes, it will
Yes.
be.
We looked at burying it, Joe, but there's too much ledge on
Oh,
Oh,
it.
that's probably not.
Oh yeah,
Can't
that would
bury
be
it
a
there.
that would be a hard
Oh,
dig.
boy. Yeah,
You
that
have to go down, my God, on each side, you
Oh,
have to
yeah.
go down
The
30 feet.
new abutments for the bridge are gonna be on the
Yeah.
ledge.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just no, it's all ledge.
Yeah.
So
Any
trying
other
to think if there's any
questions?
other questions. I know that, the consultant is doing the water line design for us.
Yes.
To do that. And it's gonna be a painful project. I can't say it's not going to be.
Yeah, we know what
For
it is.
everyone. I'm hoping it's not Brandon.
Me too.
But it's gonna be
But
because
it's
we,
gonna be.
Well,
it's
we've
yeah.
got
not gonna
this
be
one
as
going
bad
on.
as Brandon because Brandon was like a
But,
lot of
oh, I
Brandon.
know.
Yeah, but it's going to be in some ways
Oh, yeah.
worse,
Worse.
because there's no alternate routes for a lot of the people
To
to
go.
go. In Brandon, you turn off by the liquor store and you go around
Yeah.
the back way, and then you're on out through West Creek out by my place.
Well, yeah, I didn't know that route.
Oh, yeah.
That was
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I do that now because I hate the
Oh,
traffic lights.
Plus, we're gonna be tied up all next
Still,
summer with
they
the
went
one.
up
Yeah, you're gonna
Segment
be, it's gonna
one.
be a mess
Up
with
by the
segment
golf
one.
course.
Then you
all
got
the time.
your segment,
That way
which is
too,
2
yeah.
years. So we're 3 years.
Oh, yeah, it is Brandon, I'm sorry.
It's
Well,
Brandon,
we're
no
worse.
matter how
We
you
got
look at it.
we got those 3 years. Then we got probably another 2 years in the village.
Well,
But that's gonna be for
Five-year
another 10 years, so
span.
you're gonna have a break in between.
Right, if
You'll
they
have a
ever
break
do
in
it.
Until we
between.
start having
Isn't that on the
accidents on
site
Elm
that
Street
it's-
at the bridge.
After segment 1 is segment 4 and 3, or 3 and 4,
Right.
north of the village.
and that's
North of
supposed
the
to be
village.
scheduled.
They take 2 years per segment, so we're gonna do 20, 21 on segment 1, maybe 22 or 23, 24 on segment 3 or 4, then the next 2 years on the other segment, and then the village
And
segment.
then the village
2028.
segment. So we're, for the next 12 years, we're screwed up. No matter how you look at it.
But our letter is
Our
hoping
letter-
that
is-
maybe they could do our village first and get it over with and then do the other.
But I don't-
Well, you know the problem with the village?
Yeah, the infrastructure is in the.
No, what's the problem with the village?
Well, maybe the infrastructure, but the villages, you get a lot of property owners.
Yeah.
Oh,
And that's what takes time.
A lot of people who can say no, or.
Right, and then go to court.
Well, you better start now then.
They're designing it now. They're
They, no,
designing it
I
now.
think they have, the consultant that is designing my bridge is actually the consultant.
Fuss and
who
O'Neill.
Is doing
Yeah.
segment 2.
Yeah.
So that, we were gonna try and rework some drainage to help the ransoms out. And kind of put in the drainage that was gonna be put in for segment 2,
Mhm.
but I guess that's not gonna work out, but.
And we just gave them water and sewer design to go into their Fuss and O'Neill master plan for segment 2.
Oh, okay. Who's doing that? Otter Creek?
Otter Creek, yeah.
Just gets that.
Yeah, guess so. Okay,
Okay, so I
guess.
think that, I hope that helps. You have my contact information
I do,
now.
I do. It'd be great if I had authority to go ahead and sign off on this quick.
Sure, yeah,
deed.
go ahead. I have no problem.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with it.
Good.
Consensus of the board, do
That's,
it.
I know, let him know that,
Yep.
he'll be all excited.
And,
Yeah.
And you've got my contact,
So now we got a contact person, we know how to get hold of you.
Well, I know, I've been
Well,
kind
you'll
of like,
wanna
let
hand
Bruce,
us-
let Bruce deal with everything.
You'll want to hand this to your public information officer.
There.
That's how you skate out of this.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I just said to the ransoms. I said, here's my contact information. Well, they want to know, and like I said to him, you know, if you ever have issues when the projects are under construction,
Call me.
besides the public information officer, just go straight to that V-Trans resident engineer that's on the project. You know, because they're the ones that can help you the most.
Well, thank you for
Thank you
coming
for
down.
coming.
Please, it
And
was
for
an
your
exciting
patience.
night. Good thing my husband wasn't here. He would have been really excited.
Oh,
for the
wow.
First topic, so.
Well, usually this is what we have for.
That's a typical.
This is usually,
That's
this is
crowd.
the crowd. This is the crowd tonight, yeah.
Normally it's only about, you know, the people besides the select.
So put a good word in for us for getting a shim coat on Route 7 through the village.
Did you mention not to be smart at all?
Well, we're gonna get
We
this
got a
letter to the
letter going right
secretary,
here.
and as you say, he'll bounce it downhill until he gets to the locals, and
Till it-
maybe they'll do something for us.
Yeah, I will,
I'm not gonna hold my breath, but.
well, if I don't hear anything in a month,
Yeah.
I'll let you know.
Okay.
Okay.
That's not a good sign for you guys.
Well, we'll write a different letter next time.
Well, you guys have a great night. and
You
good
too.
night.
Thank
Tell me-
you.
Thank you very
Thanks for
much.
coming.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Okay, let's,
Where are we here?
let's see, let's go back to old business. Update on the preparation for town meeting, town report.
I'll keep it quick.
Keep it quick. We
Town
don't
report
have
has
time.
been sent to the printer. Dedication ceremony, February 19th. Draft letter that I've written, ghost-written for the select board explaining town meeting and the warning articles, including the Lister discussion. Does anybody have any objection to me sending that to the local paper about 2 weeks before town meeting?
That's fine.
No, I think we need to.
Need to, yeah, get
Yeah.
out there.
Good. Next issue, the town manager will meet with Tom Hooker and Joe Gagne to prepare their remarks for town meeting. And will no doubt involve Chad in our discussion, Joe. And we'll also talk with Jim Carvey and let him know that he's got an issue to address at the other business section.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's it.
Is there any school business or nothing?
No,
Nothing, no school.
No school
No
anymore.
school.
Consolidated
It's all
meeting.
done.
Okay, discussion and proposal of the mutual aid agreement between the municipal public works
Yeah,
departments.
you've seen the agreement so
We
far.
did.
Brandon, Chittenden, Hubbardton, Mendon, Mount Tabor, Proctor, Rutland Town, and Wallingford have signed off. I view it as fairly non-controversial. It gives us the option not to offer our help, but it's good to be able to call on a mutual aid agreement if we have some sort of disaster and need the help of another highway crew. You're aware of the push
Mutual
for
aids
this.
work good.
Yeah.
Fire department does better,
We-
does well
yeah.
with mutual aid. We've
Yep.
done a little bit of it with water and sewer as well in the past.
Yeah, it's a good thing to have,
Yeah,
especially if we need it.
right.
If there
Yeah.
was ever an
Yeah.
emergency.
And vice
I don't
versa.
know
I mean,
If there was any problem.
We,
I don't know if yeah, we did. Yeah, we
Greg
sent,
went with the tandem.
yeah, he did. He went to Memphis.
And this, I
Yeah.
think, was before.
This is before we had an
was
agreement,
volunteer.
yeah.
Right.
And I think this is what
And then,
spurred this.
We helped Rutland Town out.
I
Right.
think
Well,
one of the bottom lines is that FEMA likes these
They
things,
like it,
and
yeah.
they give you better reimbursement if
Yep.
they know you're
So it's-
cooperating with your neighboring towns.
It's really no brainer.
So if, with
So,
your permission, I'll go
Go ahead
ahead
and
and sign
sign
off
that
on
one.
that.
Yep,
Okay,
exactly.
good.
Okay, I guess that wraps up old business. New business.
Wayne is here to
Wayne,
talk about the
you're
transfer
up.
station.
Yeah, just want to talk about a few things. The stickers for the vehicles. I really recommend we get one that sticks on the inside of the windows and put on the left rear corner of the window instead of on the outside, or supposed to be on the bumper where it is now, because people won't put them on their bumpers. And they lose them.
Can you have them on the inside of the windshield and not
Well, no,
get into
rear
trouble?
window.
Rear window,
Rear
yeah.
window of the vehicle.
Oh, okay.
Stay back in.
Most
Yeah,
every
what they do
place-
back
Yeah,
in.
makes sense.
Every
Yeah.
place I know, between colleges and everything for the permits, they put them on the inside of the rear windows.
Okay.
And
They
they're
don't
easy to
peel
see.
off that way either.
And they
Yeah.
don't peel off, they don't ruin paint.
Yeah.
And not somebody scraping them off with a nice scraper on the
Yeah,
back
yeah, yeah.
window.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't have a problem with that. Just a matter of getting new stickers, that's
Yeah,
all.
we
That's
do
no
that,
big
we do that
deal.
every year, and usually around the fall. summer,
November, I
fall.
think, is when,
that was
November
one of the
1st.
things.
So-
The other thing was, the outhouse, I should call it, porta potty.
Porta potties.
We have it behind the building with no light and no power. So, and it
We're
really.
not
needs-
open at night, are we?
Huh?
We are this time of year,
This
it's
time of year,
nighttime.
yeah, this time of year, yeah.
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 And that area over there doesn't get sanded.
You were thinking of moving it to a
Right,
more
I'd like to
prominent
move it
location.
Up by, I've got them, I know, just right beside the pole, the light pole.
Yeah,
Right in front
there's
of it,
power there.
Two posts right there. And set right there, because we have, people that use it besides us.
when they're there at the dump.
That's something you can move for him? I don't know.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
no problem.
Not gonna cause any
Well,
Just
problems.
don't move it when he's in it.
I'd say just do that,
Not
something like
first.
that, I don't know,
But
if
yeah,
you
we
come
have
to
no
us.
power over to the other building, do we at all, Chad?
Yeah.
No, so there's no light over there, so you're in the dark.
Yeah,
That was another thing. The other thing was,
Bags.
bags. 33-gallon bags are out the window these days. It's hard, anybody that's using 33-gallon bags, and a lot of them are using 55-gallon.
ooh,
And you take a punch, they look at this is one punch, one bag.
yeah,
They don't care about the sign that says 33-gallon bag. I'm having a lot of hassle with that, and I try to, most of them won't do it. They won't let you get 2 punches for a 55-gallon bag.
well, tell them they can't come to the dump anymore.
Then I'll find
The
it on my
dump care.
property.
Well,
You know,
put a sign up, don't dump it.
I'll bring it to yours then.
Since I've been there, I've seen the 55-gallon bags increase. Some of them are using 42 or 43.
I bring in a
Those are-
13-gallon bag for you.
Yeah, I know.
So do you get a half a punch?
No, I don't.
I don't know what my wife does.
What's she using? What's your wife using, do you
I have no
know?
idea.
It's, you're getting, and those bags, I mean, are full, some of them I can't
Oh,
even
yeah.
lift.
So what do you recommend we do?
Well, it's kind of a, anything over 33-gallon bag is 2 punches.
Yep,
Just make an official
Make it
declaration.
official.
yeah,
And
And
that
with a
one
newsletter
punch, one
piece, you
bag
know.
thing that's on our punch cards,
mhm,
that, just take that off there when you order the new punch cards. Or put 1 punch per size of,
Yeah,
per size or something,
yeah,
or something different on it.
yeah.
Because they're right, they got it in their hand, it says 1 punch, 1 bag.
They think they've found
It
a
doesn't say what
loophole.
size
Yeah.
bag on it.
Right, well, yeah.
well, that's something you, John, you can do,
Yeah,
I
we
think,
can
you don't
work
need
on
us
that.
to,
Yep.
you can do that on your own.
And wasn't there one more thing, John?
I remember the porta potty, you talk about the roof, you're pleased with the roof?
Oh, yeah, I was very pleased with the roof. We're not getting water inside the building anymore.
That's good, or in the hopper
In the
either.
hopper. If anything, we get a light coating of snow if the wind blows, but that's it. That's
We'll
working
find
out
out
good.
tomorrow, maybe.
Yeah.
Should've had that a long time ago.
Yeah, we
probably.
should've.
It's working
I'm looking
out
forward to
good.
seeing the new
Probably
tipping
should
bills.
have a couple more lights in it for this time of year. At the corners, going down at the
That's something, John, can have
recycling.
Larry
Yeah,
do.
we can talk with
You
Larry.
may have
And
talked to
one
Larry, I'll put
over
up a
towards the
couple
oil
lights.
tank,
Yep,
but
and there's no power at the bottle place, or
when we
not
took
the,
out the pole and moved it over to the corner, they disconnected the
Yeah,
electricity.
no way to
the
get
other
power over
building.
and
there?
take a trench,
You have to
redo
bury it, you'd have to bury it,
Yeah.
wait for a new, sand
yeah.
shed.
Well, wait till the new thing's in,
Yeah, by the way,
yeah.
we just got the environmental permit.
Did we?
on the solar
Oh,
stuff.
good, so that's,
There's a 15-day appeal, but hopefully we'll get this thing.
that'll go, get that going, good.
And I
Alright.
think that was most of it.
Okay.
Any other stuff you were gonna talk about anyway?
Yeah,
All right, very good.
well, thank you.
That was the main thing. I
Thanks.
just wanted to see if we could get.
We'll get John right on that.
Chop, chop. Thank you,
Good.
Wayne.
Thanks, Wayne.
Thanks, Wayne.
Have a good night.
Okay, you too.
Chad, you're up.
Yeah, we have him first talking about truck replacement. And the question of which truck would we be interested in trading now that we've put a lot of money in one of the old trucks, maybe to leapfrog it? as
Yeah,
having-
we talked about that, we put a
Yeah.
lot of money
So
in
tell
that
us what
truck.
you're thinking
Yeah,
about that.
truck 5, which is the 2011 tandem Freightliner, is the one that's due for replacement this year, but that's the one.
Well, that's the one we
also
did a lot of money into it, right?
$20,000 in, right. Greg, who's been driving it since we've had it.
So it's been one driver.
Yeah, I
leaves
mean, others hop in once in a while, but for the main
The main part, he does.
he takes care of it, drives it. He's happy with it. You know, he recommended our other one's the 2013 tandem. Looking into pricing that for the
And-
trade-in for replacement for this year to.
Cause we would get a little bit
better-
more,
We'll get more for that.
more
than
trade-in.
truck 5, yeah.
Well, and you said the mileage is almost equal on them, right, at this point,
It's
pretty close?
Actually, truck 2's a little bit more.
Okay,
than truck
yep.
5.
that's a 2013?
Yep.
That's number 2.
What do you got for mileage, any idea?
I don't know, I should have looked. I wanna say like around 60.
I was gonna say, somebody said 62,
Yeah.
63,
I
something
think
like that.
that day I
at one
was
point.
down there, it was around
It was
60, I
around
think.
60,000.
One was maybe 56
Yeah.
and the other was
Yeah, I think-
60,
I think
something
we're-
like that.
Not a lot of
I think we're
difference.
58, 15.
Yeah,
Something.
there's
It's
not a
not
lot
a
of
big
difference.
difference.
Right, yeah.
But the 2 years would make a big difference,
2 years, and we haven't had to put any money into it yet, so.
but you will.
Yeah,
And we can get
Probably will.
pricing on both with and without a trade. And then if we like the trade, we can also run it against our auction to see if we can't do better, like we have in the past.
When do we do that?
But we put together the specs for the truck, and that was also something we needed board approval to go forward and mail that out to some of the manufacturers.
Yes.
Which ones would you normally send it to? Because I know Dave has some leads sometimes.
Yeah, well, Charlie Boys, we've dealt with in the past.
Yeah.
J&D, I think they're still in, I think they rebuilt after the fire.
Yeah.
And, New England Kenworth.
Kenwood.
well, they're right here in town.
Right here in town,
Yeah.
I certainly give
Although
them
the
one.
last time they never even sent a quote in, but.
And the one thing I have heard with those,
Mac
and
also.
in Mac, but on the Kenworths, you wanna make sure you get one of the ones with the sloped front, or else you aren't gonna be able to, this is from Fairfax, my father-in-law, but the sloped fronts, you can see the plow. With the big square front, you can't see the plow.
yeah.
800 series is the
Yeah.
one you want.
Yeah,
I'm monkeying around trying to buy a truck myself right now. One
We
thing,
might have one for you, Joe.
yeah.
one thing that I have found, that most of them now are only putting 3 batteries in a 4 battery box.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I have kind of approached him about that. Well, it costs you a few bucks more, but they have a 4 battery box and 3 batteries, and I want the other battery.
Well,
Yeah, but on
I
a
think so.
1,000 trucks, Joe, that's $150,000, $200,000 they're saving
That's right.
over the course of those trucks. I mean, so yeah, yeah.
I've run into that little thing.
So I
myself.
guess, what do we want Chad to do? Go ahead and get some bids?
I had some questions on some of the things we had, not to be a jerk, but why are you specifying Michelin tires? Just had better luck with them, or
That's, I guess
Usually
it's
what's on
an
them.
equivalent, we can change that to.
BF Goodrich are made by Michelin, and they're a lot cheaper. I wouldn't know this, but I deal with John Rouse up there, and he brought that to my attention a few years back. And I buy quite a few tires in a year's time, and I generally get on the phone and ask a few questions. And BF Goodrich, I find them pretty good.
I believe the Western Star came with the Michelin's.
Michelin's are good. No, you can't-
oh yeah, but they're good, but they tend to be
They're
on the
high
price. I'm
Yeah,
just
they're pricey.
and most of my questions are price.
Yeah.
Probably
The
be-
aluminum rims versus steel.
Cool.
Probably running.
Well, that's what I was afraid you were going to say. And
That's what the Western Star looks when it's sitting at the shop.
well, that's all right, but they generally run quite a bit more money usually, right? Or not?
There's not a huge difference when we did the fire trucks. I
No?
was surprised, no.
Probably
The only thing I say with the steel, they rust like crazy.
$500-600 more.
And the aluminum don't.
They do look
On the
better.
complete truck.
The unpolished aluminum versus steel. Now, if you go to polished aluminum, you're gonna be higher.
Yeah.
I've got figures on that right at home right now that I'm looking at.
We've had good luck with the aluminum on the fire trucks.
Western Star is the first one that we've
Yeah.
gone with the
Steel ones rusted up quick.
Well, yeah, but the aluminum ones can
Oh, yeah.
crack and do other things too. Then you're getting trailer connectors on the back. What are those used for? You don't pull a trailer.
resale.
Resale. Okay, well, that's, yep.
All our other trucks have had it.
Just so they okay, no, I get that. Then there's bodybuilder wiring.
I believe I'm assuming for whatever body company we send it to, the wiring's all set.
Oh, the wiring's all set for them. Okay, no, that's, and then the only other question I had, you seem to be getting the premium cab interior. I realize it's probably nicer, but do we really need that?
Some nights.
Some nights you do.
No, we don't need the top of the line. I mean, I think, actually, well, I'd have to look and.
See what the
that, but
difference
I mean,
is.
I think a lot of the stuff's standard anyways.
Well, no, but I just,
But yeah, no, we don't need premium.
right. Because usually on that, at least with car, well, and pickups, you go to that, you get a lot of other extras that, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's.
So those, you know, as I went through it, those were a few of the
Yeah.
things that I just had, you know, I'm
Caught your eye.
trying to
Yep.
keep the price, still get a decent truck, but
Right.
keep the price maybe a few $1,000s lower.
So what is your pleasure, to come back with an updated spec, or give Chad the latitude to look at these issues, try to be economical and send it out to save time?
No, I'm good, I'm good with him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think he needs
We
to
don't
come
need
back
to
to
come
us.
back and forth,
You know.
Yeah, no, we can keep that and.
And do we like the idea of leapfrogging on the trade?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good idea, I think, 'cause that.
Oh, one other question. Now, you've got the plow and you've got the plow and the box and all that stuff on our existing trucks. And I probably shouldn't even be bringing this, cause maybe, but how would it compare? I mean, could we get another 10 years out of the plow frame and all that? No? Okay. Okay. No, I just thinking that would save us, one, it would save us time, because when that truck came,
Right.
somebody just have to put it on.
Yeah, that's the,
And if we could get another truck out of that box and plow frame and stuff,
yeah.
that would save us a lot of money too.
Well, there is quite a difference in the quality or type of boxes you put on too. I mean, you can go to stainless steel, or you can go to, there's quite a few options.
Yeah.
I don't know whether, I mean, I'm not familiar with them when it comes to dump trucks, so I don't know whether it would be money well spent to spend a little more and think you'd run it on 2 trucks, or whether that's just not even considerable. That I'm not
Usually
sure. I'd
all
have to.
rusted,
Yeah, but if they're stainless,
well, if the
Stainless
stainless,
does take the salt better.
well, they
yeah.
We've got
banged up a lot.
the last walk-in floor trailer we bought is as much stainless as you can get. But the downside of that, the running gear that holds the axles is still steel, so we're gonna have a nice trailer with no running gear.
but it's still, you know,
Have to
you
replace
you
that.
replace the running gear. But again, if in that, as we get to the body, maybe that's something to look into, see how much more that is, if we could get 2 trucks out of a body. It's, you know, it's certainly worth it's something to consider, I think.
It'd be worth a conversation with somebody that knows. That's the
Yeah.
way I'd
When we
look
get
at
to
it.
the,
When we get to the body,
Get to that point.
yeah.
and yeah, especially if time comes when the replacement years are moved up. even.
Yeah,
Yeah, they,
Well, yeah, if you're going down to a 7-year versus 10,
Yeah,
you very well could, and maybe a standard body, you could get, you know, 14 years versus 10. I mean,
yeah,
This is a tandem you're talking about, or
Yes.
for the straight?
yeah, tandem.
Your straight job is still got a lot of life in it right now.
I hope
isn't
so.
it?
Let's hope so.
I hope so.
It's not that
yeah,
old.
hopefully,
it's had some issues.
yeah.
And let's
Actually,
hope that it lasts.
we'll be
Well,
leaving
there was-
Monday as well.
Was it last year you
Warranty
had a
coverage.
pump that went bad and that held you up for a long time?
That was.
That was
on
5.
That's truck
yes.
5, yeah.
that's why 5
That's
mileage
why-
is the same as the other truck.
Yeah,
That's it.
That was kind of unexpected or unpredictable deal, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's, unfortunately, I think it took longer to repair than
Yeah.
necessary,
Oh, yeah.
but it was an oddball pump, and I'm not a mechanic, so they
Maybe,
did. and-
maybe you've been able to gain a little knowledge for what to order next time, not get that kind
Yeah,
of.
well,
Wow.
yeah, and that truck was, because the truck itself's good, the body was first year body company. So there's been a few issues with that,
Yeah.
and I believe that was the only year body company.
Oh, those are always,
Yeah.
those are always good.
that's good.
Yeah.
So,
That done to Kelly.
yeah.
Good. Any
So
other
we'll get that
questions
out
for
the
Chad?
door.
Yeah, get that out
No,
the
no.
door.
We have them here for the
We get him
science
for this.
package.
Have you ever
Crazy.
considered running the 24 or 5 tires instead of the 22 5s? I don't
I think we
know.
I think that's what we are
I need a
right
glass
now.
of wine.
Yeah, those trucks, those
the
trailers.
area you were talking about had the 22 on them.
Oh, did it? Okay.
That's what I was seeing here.
Okay. I'll have to double
And
check.
if you're running 24 or 5, my advice would be to have them all the same.
Yeah.
That's what I do with my trailers. And I only got one tractor, but keep them all the same. Then that's another reason why I run steel wheels, because I can take a front wheel off of my road tractor and put it on a chip trailer if I need to.
Yeah.
I mean, it works for me. Maybe with the town, it's not that important, but.
Oh, it makes sense. You get a flat tire, if you can,
There's a
For me,
flat-
it's-
oh, yeah,
you know,
grab one.
grab one.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thanks, Chad, for coming up.
Well, no,
Appreciate
he's
it.
still here.
Oh, you still, what do you still got? Oh, you got more?
We got signage.
Oh, signage.
You didn't
Lots
see
of
that
signage.
crazy signage?
No.
Huh? It's
Oh,
not
that's,
crazy?
well,
This
it's
way, it's.
Some of it
tucked in
is.
there it is,
Put it
yeah,
this way,
signage.
it's generally a freebie.
Okay.
The state comes and they
Yeah.
identify
All the ones
roads
in
that
town,
they
they
think
redo it.
can have better, safer signage or up-to-date signage, bigger signs in some places. And so we drove all the roads with Chad and I and the fellow who does the design for this program and somebody from the Regional Planning Commission who was interested in seeing what those kinds of trips are like. And we all looked at them, and the only town commitment is that we agree to let them install them, and then I believe we're on the hook to maintain them afterwards.
Right.
But it's typically a 2-year turnaround, so if and when we decide that we're agreeable with the package, it takes them a while to implement.
do it.
But we've done it before on Meadow Lake out there, and also on Whipple Hollow more recently.
Okay.
Oh, so it doesn't cost us any money?
No.
I mean, one of the questions I had, this was on Plains Road. You're removing a gradual corner arrow that's at 25 miles an hour. You're putting in a 90-degree arrow and increasing the speed limit to 30. It just looks, it's sketch page 3 of 3 on Plains Road.
That's probably up here in the corner.
It makes the corner look sharper, yet you're increasing the speed, just kinda.
Yeah, 'cause there's a couple
What's
blind
the
driveways
page,
there
Dave?
too.
Of Plains
3
Road?
of 3 on Plains Road. Sketch 3. It's the very top one.
Yeah.
The new one is a 90-degree arrow with a 30 miles an hour, and the old one was a gradual arrow with 25.
Oh, that's a
So it
good
just
idea.
seems to me if you're thinking the corner
so
is sharper
dangerous to
and
be
you're
warned.
and you're increasing the speed, because some of the others you've gone from maybe 30 to 25 or
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
but you've gone to, so this one's like backwards.
Yeah.
I mean, I just,
That could bear asking
That's
for
all right.
Mario, who's the guy who designed it.
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't remember that particular one, do you?
Yeah, there's a couple of them actually.
Okay.
I mean, the existing one is one that we put up there at some point.
Those are recommended
And the
speeds.
recommended, yeah.
They're not-
put the
Right.
Recommended. The way he explained it as we're driving it is, I don't remember now. It's
You have to do
safe
it-
enough
yeah.
to do it
To
at
do it at
30.
30.
That's because they drove, that's how they determined the signs, is by driving these roads. And so apparently, 25 was too low, so 30's.
But I understand your point.
But
Dave.
yeah.
but you're showing the corner being
Oh yeah, it's a sharper.
a sharper, yeah.
Actually,
And granted, the road isn't any sharper.
Would you like me to at least raise that, so make sure he's not overseeing that as a mistake?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just seemed odd to me.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see if you were making it steeper and you were lowering it, but I can't, or even leaving it the same.
Right.
Are there some areas where it's kind of known to be a problem that you feel as though you're going to be benefiting by changing this? I mean,
Most of it struck us as pretty logical, made sense.
in my neighborhood, once in a while somebody comes up to Stevens Road and goes right over in Fox's field, but that's always happened for years.
Yeah. I don't think signs are gonna help them.
No.
There's a stop sign there and just don't stop. That's
No.
happened for years.
No, I felt driving it, looking at the signs compared to the existing ones there, I mean, a lot of it
Makes
makes
sense.
sense and it's gonna be helpful.
Okay. All right.
Beautiful.
In that particular.
Well, no, that, I mean, I'm
yeah,
looking
you're
at all
gonna do
this
it.
thinking the expense of those signs, but if we don't have to pay for them, then.
We don't
You
have to put them
kinda,
up
you
either.
kinda do
Yeah.
and you kinda don't.
Well, I know, yeah.
Well, later
Well,
on.
no, but at least Burlington is helping us pay for part of them.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, if I had a consent to go ahead and sign off on
Yes.
that, I will. But I will raise that question.
Yep. Sounds good.
So,
Town put a lengthen the culvert up there on the end of the Stevens Road so they'd have a wider strip to cross and get into Fox's Field there one time. That's quite a while back.
No, thank you for coming.
yes,
Thank you.
get some rest, you're gonna need it,
Yeah.
right?
By morning, there's supposed to be some crappy weather, maybe.
One last thing here, then we'll get out of here, hopefully.
Yeah, yeah.
We're running late tonight. Discussion of the listers
Yeah, the only
office
follow-up I
operations.
have is that since
Lisa?
Nick Michael has resigned, she had done some thinking and said, look, yes, I might have to do a little bit more time to fill in for whatever he was contributing, but her suggestion was, at the next board meeting, they might want to officially recognize the vacancy and give her the authority to assume all the responsibilities
Of
that
the
the Board
lister.
of Listers until town meeting, which certainly was our expectation.
Yeah.
right,
But we
kind of
want to make it
no-brainer,
official
yeah.
for, just to give her some CYA.
Yeah.
Okay.
Put it on the.
That's
agenda for
agreeable?
that. Yep.
Maybe we should get a motion.
So moved.
Yep.
Go
So
ahead.
moved. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.